Welcome to this webinar. I'm Karen Rolfe, and today we're going to be talking about how to find the students that you love to teach. So I want to thank you first of all for taking the time to be here, to invest your time focusing on this, and whether you're here live or for those of you who are listening to the recording of this in the future, as with most things in life, showing up is the most important step. So yay, you, and thank you. Now, a lot of you, by the names I'm seeing popping up, already are familiar with me and the Dressage Naturally program. Maybe you have my book, maybe you've been to a clinic, maybe you're in my subscription video library that I call the video classroom. Maybe you're familiar with my 3 courses that I have in my virtual arena, either horsemanship or biomechanics or gymnastics course. But then others of you, this might be the first time that you've come to play with me with anything, and maybe you just saw the ad or an email that went out that said, and you saw that and you said, yeah, I do want to learn how to attract my dream students, and I want to love my life in the horse business, and so here you are. So no matter what brought you here, welcome. So I have been spending my entire professional life working hard in my business, probably a lot like many of you. But I've also really worked hard on my business and on myself. It's kind of like they say in airplanes, if you want to improve things and help others, we've got to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. So it's important to work on your business because, I could be the greatest trainer in the world, but if nobody knows about me, or if I'm not available, or if people can't find me, or even if I have a full schedule, but somehow I'm not able to pay my bills, I'm going to pretty soon be out of business. Right? So you've got to work hard on your business, not just in your business. So over the years, I have found myself stepping up and taking every aspect of my life to a higher level when I have the chance to. So this journey has taken me all kinds of places, like on top of pyramids in Mexico with a shaman, or walking across hot coals, or doing business and time management or marketing masterminds or retreats. And through that, I've been able to speak with and kind of hang out with industry leaders and sharing ideas with owners of multi-million-dollar companies. And one thing I've learned in that process is that this is what successful people in other industries do. They get together and they talk with each other and they share ideas. And so all of these experiences have helped me create what I now have, which is a life that I love in this horse industry. I own my own property and horses, and I'm running it in a way that makes me happy. So I love the students that I teach. I'm reaching more students than I ever have. I love my daily routine. I love being able to add value to students in ways that I originally would never even thought of. And I love that it's generating enough income that it's sustainable. So what I experienced is that I had to go out and make that happen. So when I was just starting out in the horse business, and even well into the horse business, I didn't see a model like the one I'm experiencing right now. So there was no model for me to emulate, and no resource within the horse industry for me to figure out how to do this. So I had to kind of figure it out by myself. And these days I hear myself thinking, gosh, if I only knew then what I know now, it would have been so much easier. So this webinar it's a first, and it's a small step, but it's a really important step for me to share some of what I've learned with you, my fellow professionals. So many of the instructors that I've been speaking with are pouring themselves into their business. They're working harder. Some of you on this call may not have enough business coming in, or you're not setting your prices to match your value of what you're teaching. Maybe you have to have a second job. Maybe you want to be full-time, but you're not able to go full-time. And some of you maybe have enough clients, but they're not the ones that really light you up. So you're feeling really drained at the end of the day. And some of you on this call might be in what can be the worst case scenario, but it can be sneaky because you might have all the business you want. You have too much business coming in and you love your students, but they're pulling you in all kinds of different directions. So you're feeling really scattered and your life is really out of balance. Maybe not so much breathing room and you don't feel like your schedule is up to you. So somehow we're doing this because we love horses, and for some reason, because we love horses, it's easy to feel like we wear our weariness almost like a badge of honor. So this is a very common theme in the instructors and professionals that I have been speaking with. And I recently did a live event on this same subject, and I polled the people in the room before we started, and it was really interesting. As a group, this group of professionals rated themselves very highly fulfilled, which is awesome. But they also rated themselves as a group highly stressed, low profitability, and life way out of balance. So I found that really interesting. And in a way, it's a beautiful thing that we love horses so much. You know, that we can be fulfilled even under those conditions because we get to hang out with horses, right? And it really speaks to the level of desire to serve and the level of heart that you bring to your business. But it is also a red flag because it's this pattern that can lead you to keep doing it, and it's okay, but I love horses, that's okay. If you really loved what you do, you wouldn't charge very much, right? Maybe you've even heard that, but that's what leads to burnout. And so it ends up being the most heartfelt instructors out there, professionals out there, end up being the ones that are being burned out. And when you burn out on horses, you lose your hobby and your passion as well as your business. So some trainers will quit and some just, keep doing it because what else can you do? But that's what brings you to the end of the day, and you're exhausted and you're drained and your life is out of balance and you're cranky, and maybe you've seen someone who's that cranky horse trainer cartoon, and that's really a shame because this is horses. We're supposed to be doing this because we love it. How lucky are we? So again, we need a new model for this industry. No more factory training. It doesn't help the horses. It doesn't help the students. It doesn't help you. So the other thing that I found when talking with professionals is sometimes they feel like the answer is just to increase their own education and their own skills. Now, of course, we have to have skills, and continuing education and honing those skills is really important, but there's something independent of that. Some of the best musicians in the world are like homeless and playing on the subway. So yes, we need skills, but there's also something else. We want to have, I'm assuming because you're here, based on how I titled this webinar, we want to have a fulfilling, a sustainable, and a profitable life that we can love. We got to focus on our business. So maybe similar to many of you, I got into this business by accident. People just kept paying me to ride their horses. I started out freelancing, driving to other people's facilities, and then I ended up training at a top dressage training facility with a really accomplished trainer and mentor for myself. And, I thought I was successful, but I started noticing the end game. I started looking around going, okay, I'm on this career path now, but let me look at the people who are at the other end of the spectrum on the business scale. Look at the older, more accomplished trainers. And I started noticing that they weren't all that happy, or they were relying on sponsorship, and then their, horses that they would take to such high levels, on the whim of the owner of the horse could be pulled out from underneath them. So there were things about the business right away that I said, okay, I love horses, but I don't know if I want to end up exactly where I'm heading. And at a point in my life when I was successful, meaning what I thought that meant was I had a waiting list of top quality, some international quality horses in training and waiting list of students, and more horses that I could train in one day, and at a good facility. And it was right then that I found myself, with my car broken down on the side of a road, crying my eyes out, saying, I am working as hard as I possibly can, and I cannot make ends meet. So that's a true story. I can't keep doing this. I'm exhausted. I can't afford to fix my car. How could I do anything better than I'm doing now? And it's still not working. So that moment on the side of the road really was a turning point. Except I didn't turn. I kind of kept going for many more years after that, until I really did want to quit horses. So I know now that that pain I was feeling was the pain of the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. And the solution for that was to have a leveraged business. The one-on-one private lesson business model just does not work, except for a couple exceptions. And it was really around me owning exactly who I am and what part of the teaching and training that I love to teach the most. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, in 2003, when I was burned out and ready to quit horses, I moved. I went to Florida for 2 months, except I never went back, because I realized as soon as I left the circumstance that I was in, I realized immediately with that distance and perspective that it was not horses that I wanted to quit. It was the way I was doing horses. So it was the business. So since then, in 2003, I said, all right, I'm starting fresh. I never went back to New York. And what I did was I took care of my mindset. I stopped fearing change, and I invested in myself. I invested in the thing that's always the best investment, which is my own personal growth, my own business growth. All right, so I'm going to share a little piece of what I've learned since then, because now I've actually recreated how I do business. And I want to share with you the list of the must-haves that I found I needed at that point. So I was quitting horses. This is it. No, wait, I love horses. How am I going to do it on my terms? So I wrote down a list of everything that I wanted if I was going to create my dream for my business. So I want to share this with you because this all came true. I said, I want to own my own horses. I want time for my own horses. I want to keep my horses on my own property. Now, at this time, I didn't have anything. I was living out of my truck and trailer and tack room apartments. So that sounded like a pipe dream at that time. When I have my property, I don't want it to have to be a boarding facility. I want to work with students and their own horse. So I didn't want to take horses in for training to fix them and have them go away. I wanted to work on the partnership between a horse and a student. I didn't want to be in horse sales. I just didn't have the stomach for it. I knew I wanted a worldwide impact, and I wanted to leave a legacy. I knew early on, I have something to say, and I really want it to be said. I want to go on record. I wanted my own schedule. I've never been good at working for other people. And I wanted free time for a non-horse life. Most of my friends are not horse people, so I wanted to have time for that, and I wanted privacy at my place. I wanted privacy in my home. I'm kind of an introvert. No, I'm very much an introvert. So that was my wish list. And I've created that. And that's not what I think anybody else should or should not do at all. This is just what I sat myself down and said, well, what do you want? If you were going to create something, what do you want? And that would seem like a list for a disaster in the horse industry. How are you going to make money if you don't train people's horses, you don't have a boarding facility, you don't buy or sell horses? So the main message here is you can create the life that you want and serve your students at a high level and be happy. So let's see. I want to give you this one specific piece. So now I'm going to have to click a few buttons because I'm going to start sharing my screen and give you some of the fancy slides that I made, and we're going to really get into the meat of it. Okay, so in a second, Shauna, you should be able to see now some slides. Did that work? Awesome. So you can still see me. I'm really little now, and you can see my slides. So, key to happiness: find the students that you love to teach. All right, so a lot of the professionals that I've been mentoring feel like they have to teach anybody who shows up, right? So you're constantly compromising your program, changing your program, or changing what you want to be doing in the day based on who showed up and what kind of horse they have. And let's face it, there are some students who really light you up, that energize you. You could be exhausted and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's, I can't wait to go out and teach Susie. You know, and you know, there are students who drain us. Let's be honest, it's true. So what we need to do is figure out why that's happening. And there's nothing inherently wrong with you or that person. It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch of student to teacher. And you know, there's a consequence to long-term experiencing that mismatch. I was at a meeting a couple of years ago, organized locally, and a whole bunch of different trainers from all different disciplines and of all different levels, but actually fairly successful instructors. And we were sitting around, and I nudged my husband. I said, hey, pay attention to the conversations. And he listened for a little bit, and he's like, every single one is complaining about their students. I said, I know. So my husband hadn't had much exposure to the rest of the horse industry besides me. And he's like, and his thought was, he's like, Karen, you've got to help these people. Like, this is, you don't complain about your students. So, and who really suffers when trainers and instructors are cranky are the students and the horses, you know, and yourself too. So the key to happiness is to find the students you love to teach and help them find you. So I just did an event in Orlando on this, and it was so well received. It was so exciting to actually be there live. So it was called, you know, For the Love of the Horse, Transform Your Business. And actually some of you on this webinar are here because you wanted to come to this event in Orlando, but you couldn't make it and travel. So I'm glad you're here. You know, I think every student deserves to be adored, and every instructor deserves to have students that they love to teach. Again, there's nothing wrong with that person that drains you, because maybe they need something that someone else can offer them. I think we need to be really honest about that. You know, so how do we find each other? How do you find that dream student? The answer is to get in touch with what makes you you and what you really, really love to teach, right? We have to figure out what your unique special qualities, what your unique genius is, because everybody has a unique genius and special qualities. And if you have the exact thing delivered in the exact way that a student needs, you're going to be priceless to them. That's going to be your raving fan. And if you are the person that's best set up to deliver what a student needs, you're going to do them a disservice by not letting them find you easily. And you're doing yourself a disservice, excuse me, to not find those students that you're excited to teach. And this, so it's marketing, but it's not just marketing, right? Marketing has a bad name in the horse industry. I've had people tell me, like, oh, your ads are really good, you're just about all just about marketing, like that's some bad word. And if you're thinking that, you're going to have a hard time finding the students that you love to teach, because it's really just about messaging in a way so that when that person comes across you, they go, oh my gosh, you are who I've been looking for. You are going to stand out among all the other generic teachers out there. The tendency is to try to be generic, to cast a wide net to get as many students as you can. That's the tendency. And everybody ends up being generic, and then you miss the person that's like, oh, that's just another dressage trainer. There's students looking for something specific, whether they know it or not. You've got to help them find you. So my question to you, and this is really important, I would write this down on a little Post-it note or something. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I want you to write them down. What do you do? And probably some of you are thinking about, well, I teach hunter jumpers, or I teach dressage, or I teach, you know, whatever it is. And I'm going to ask you, what do you really do? 2 very simple questions. That second one can be really hard to answer. So again, I want you to go write it down separately so you remember to go really deeply into this. And you're going to get the answer to this question a little bit by thinking about it, but probably more likely you're going to get it by listening to other people. Go back and read the emails of the students who were your favorite to teach or that made the most progress. Read what they have to say. Listen at the end of the lesson to what your students say that they got out of your lesson. And in a second, well, I think let's get really specific. Let's use my business as a kind of practical example. And we're going to keep going deeper into this theme of what do you do, what do you really do. Okay. So I could run this ad. I could say, I give writing lessons. And now some of you out there listening, this might be the perfect ad for you if your business model is around, I want to be the person that people find that make their first contact with horses. The person who doesn't know anything about horses, and they're like, oh, I want to go take my daughter to a riding lesson just to give her something to do on a weekend. You want to grab those people because you want to give those people the best first experience with a horse. If you want that kind of client, then you would put this kind of an ad down, right? But for me, as a dressage specialist, we'll go even more into what I really am. But this would not be what I would post. So you could say, oh, maybe this would be better. All right, I give dressage lessons. So that's closer, right? That already is going to be a little bit more specific. But even in dressage lessons, not all dressage lessons or students are created equal. So if I said this, there's a huge range of students that might answer this or respond to this kind of ad, right? I could get, that could be an Olympic champion teaching a dressage lesson. It could be the very first dressage lesson. It could be for kids. It could be for older people. It could be for scared people. It could be for guys. There's a huge range. So it's specific, but probably not specific enough. You might say, oh, but I could add my credentials in there. So some of you might be thinking, okay, I'm a dressage trainer. And you would say, well, you could get dressage lessons from someone who's a really good dressage rider. And so you list your credentials there. But there's still something missing. So here's me. So when I gave up my normal dressage training and decided to run off to Florida and recreate myself, I started getting into natural horsemanship. So I put those two words together. I thought that was rather clever. And I said, oh, I do dressage naturally. So that is a reflection of my experience in dressage and my experience in natural horsemanship. So I thought that was a pretty clever name. And it was. But it really, it did differentiate me, for sure. People could see the difference. It was unique. But it's really still about me. I do dressage and I do natural horsemanship. So it was describing a vehicle, but it wasn't really telling people where they were going to go with that. People weren't sure if they needed that sort of thing. So I attracted students, kind of a narrower, wide net of students, but I still hadn't honed it down. So years went by and I changed it because I started learning to talk about the destination a little bit more. Don't describe the vehicle, describe where it's going. So this is a little bit better. It's a little more artsy. So I was allowing some of my creative side to show up. And I'd say dressage naturally, but stronger partnerships, healthy biomechanics. So now I'm talking about results. This is helping. So now students who are interested in creating a stronger partnership with their horse or know they need biomechanics and healthy biomechanics. So it's, again, a subtlety of it's not just gymnastic training, learn to win at dressage, healthy biomechanics. It's still dressage, but it's a little more specific. So this helps people realize why they might want to do dressage, or if they're looking for that result, now they can find it. But you can see just by the font what's bigger. It's all about me in capital letters, and then it's a little bit about what I'm going to do for you. So that was good for a while. But what I was noticing, because I was getting training and people were saying, hey, notice what your students say about you. I was advertising like this, but I would get emails back from people and they would say, "Oh my gosh, you changed my life." And I thought, well, that's not what I was teaching you. I was teaching you shoulder ins and how to get your horse round and balanced and through the back. But they're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much more confident. I feel free. I'm finally able to progress at home." And I thought, well, that's interesting because that's not what I'm teaching. But what I realized is that's how I was teaching it, right? I was starting to leverage my business. I was putting, I was creating materials that people could learn at home, because I realized that there's one common thread through everything that I've always taught, whether I called it dressage or dressage naturally, or I was focused on partnership and biomechanics. So this is my marketing and messaging now. If you go to my website, this is what you're going to see. So there's an illustration of horses. Well, it's a photograph, but you can see a lot in that photograph. And the words are from partnership to payoff, empowering you and your horse to be the best that you can be. And then down at the bottom, very small, it says dressage naturally. Because it's not about me. It's about what I can help you create. So still it's a fair amount of words, but it says a lot. So the word partnership to payoff. Okay, that explains a little bit of partnership-y stuff. Not even natural horsemanship. What's the goal of natural horsemanship to me? It's to develop partnership. So again, focus on the results. To payoff, that's a transformation from partnership to payoff. So it's not just about a result, but it's a process. I'm empowering you and your horse. Be the best that you can be. So those words all say a lot, and they're very targeted at the students that light me up the most and targeted at what I enjoy doing the most. I teach dressage lessons, but that's not really what I do. What I really do is I empower people. It's always what I've done. And it took me a long time to figure that out, but I had to listen and I had to think on it, and I had to think, what is the thread? What is the thing that people are connecting to? So it's not just marketing tricks. There's something about coming up with the words, but it's really about owning it. It's really about believing it, because as soon as you believe it, you don't even have to write the words down on your website. People will feel it. You'll just exude this. You'll own it. You'll be conscious of it. So your conscious competence in this area will go up. I just got way off my notes. So on my website now, you'll see this. You'll see a phrase such as never underestimate the possibility for things to improve in ways you cannot yet imagine. I know I'm not just teaching riding lessons. So in doing all this now, I attract quite actively and energetically students who want to be empowered. Students who are ready for a change, students who want a whole program, and they're invested in sticking with something, and who have a positive outlook. That's the connection. That's who I want to be around. That's who I am. And that's what I attract by knowing that. So we find each other easily now. Finding students is actually rather easy for me. Isn't that cool? And I get to be more me. So that's the answer. Be more you. And know you. I know that's not really a sentence, but know yourself, right? So for this webinar, I didn't say marketing tips for your dressage training practice or how to get rich quick in the horse business. I said find your dream students and other ways to love your life as a trainer. So I attracted, I'm sure on this webinar, a certain kind of student, right? You guys are probably, resonating with this, I hope. So, some more homework for you. What is the transformation that you offer? What do you really teach? And what's unique about how you teach it and how you deliver it? And so there you go. I forgot to click. What makes you unique? And also, what's your why? Why are you doing it? So this sounds easy. This might be like, oh, cool, I'll answer those 3 questions. But when you actually sit down to do it, don't be surprised if it's a little harder than you think it's going to be, because this is about looking in the mirror, and sometimes we don't know ourselves. Sometimes it's other people that can describe us way better than we can describe ourselves. But just start thinking about it, and most of all, listening, or give these questions to some of your favorite, inner circle kind of students or people who know you the best, and see what they say. That can be really eye-opening. So I want to give you another example of how, I can model this theory for you in a real life example with my business. So I have a mastermind and mentorship program, and it's been going on now for the past 6 months. I've been creating it over the past couple of years, but it's going on now. And I'll say it's successful because the last group that was in it really were my ideal clients. They've thrived in the program, and I've loved delivering it. So for me, that's a success. That's a success in creating it, and that's a success in how I messaged it, because the right people landed there. And by right, I mean that we had the connection. All right, so it's a mastermind and mentorship program. So what's the transformation? I just said those questions. What's the transformation? What makes it unique, and why? So when I describe it, I say, if you want to create, this program will help you create a fulfilling, sustainable, and profitable life that you can love in the horse business. So that's the goal. What makes it unique? Well, you can learn how to work on your horse business from someone who actually works in the horse business. So I know that's unique because when I was trying to figure all this stuff out, I had to go to business courses where there was nobody there who knew the horse business. So we couldn't, I had to figure out all the details by myself. What also is unique is when I do my marketing for it, I include things like this. So these are sketches. This is me. This is me in the graphic. And how do I know it's me? Because I drew it. And I do it really fast and fun. I didn't know I was going to be using this cartoon for my advertising for this. I had drawn this years ago, but I kept returning to it. I love it. This is the feeling that I want to get. So it's a business course program, but it's supposed to be fun. Love your life, celebrate the horse. So it's a little bit of what makes it unique, because it's uniquely me, and my personality is going to show through it. I didn't go hire a fancy graphic designer that didn't know me. And so that's a little bit about what makes it unique, and then a little bit about my why, right? Love your life, celebrate the horse. That's why. And the other why is for the love of the horse. So I call it my For the Love of the Horse Mastermind and Mentorship Program. All right, so now another thing that I use for the marketing is my This Is For You If. And maybe you've seen this in marketing and messaging information out there. And the purpose of this, when you say this is for you if, it's to let your students see themselves. You want your students to go, that's me. Wow, you know me. How did you know I needed that? It's also your wish list. This is you sending out to the universe of these are the people that you want to attract, that are going to connect the most with you. Now, I need to have full disclosure here. I'm modeling this for you as an example of marketing, that is for sure. But I'm also delivering this to you because, you might have guessed it, my mastermind and mentorship program is opened up right now for registration. So I want to pause here for a second and talk about that. Some of you are going to love what we already talked about, and you already know you want more. And when I give you this list of this is for you if, you might see yourselves in this list and go, oh my gosh, this really is for me. And if that is true, then I'm super thrilled that you're here. Some of you might be thinking, this is not for me, and that's okay. Continue to watch this just as an example, right? So I'm going to tell you, I'm doing two things. I'm helping you see if my actual program is actually for you and registration is open now, but I also want you to watch it to have me continue to model how I market it. Change the words to fit your own programs for you, your students. And I have to say one more thing, because this happens sometimes. Sometimes people at this part of a webinar go, I knew it, she was going to sell me something. So if that's you, I just want you to listen, open yourself up, and notice the brace. Notice if there's a brace, because I'm simply talking about something that could be offered. It could be an opportunity. And then I want you to look at yourself and your own students and ask yourself, do your students brace when you present to them a training program and you really know that they would progress in it, but they don't commit? And they have that same feeling. I knew she was going to try to get me in training. I knew she was going to try to get me to buy another horse. So just sit with this for a second. And I have a guideline that you can apply to your business, to anything you do in life, is I don't expect others to step up for me and commit to something that I offer or invest in me to, higher than I would do it for myself. So I told you earlier, I'm constantly stepping up to take myself out of my comfort zone and get myself to the next level. So I've made a practice of stepping up for myself, and when I step up for myself, it raises the level for my students and anybody else. So with all that said, I'm going to continue to again model. So when you have a program, whatever it is, training, lessons, whatever you're offering, make a wish list. Frame it as this is for you if, and then write it so your students can see themselves in that list. So for my mastermind program, what I wrote is, this is for you if you love your work and you're ready to have it create the income you need. This is for you if you want to get out there and find students that you love to teach and that value what you offer. This is for you if you're ready to give and get amazing support in a safe, productive, and non-competitive environment, right? This is for you if you know that Karen consistently over-delivers and that there's a massive value in this unique opportunity. And this is for you if you're ready now to make a big change, a big transformation in your life and your business. So these are words that you want to go over and craft them and fine-tune them to make sure that with as much of an economy of words, and there's a lot of words on this page, but go over it again and again and see how you can articulate whatever it is that you're offering clearer and clearer. And so there's a lot in here, right? I want people who are ready to give and get. That's what a mastermind is. It's not just a delivery of information. It's an exchange. It's a mastermind. It's a collaborative. So I have to make sure that I put that in there. It's for you if you know that Karen consistently over-delivers. So it's a promise to you. That's my stepping up and saying, hey, I promise. I'm telling you right now I'm going to over-deliver. And I know that that requires a little bit of a leap of faith, right? It requires a little bit of trust, and that this is unique. So remember these words. You can write them down, or in the recording you can go pause and hold it on this, and then see if you can find the version of a wish list for what the kind of student you want. So again, a student who is ready to give and receive, or does love what they do, but they do want more money. They're like, yeah, that's me. Help your students see themselves in the words that you offer. Okay, I got all off my notes now. I got all excited. Oh yeah. So in the theme of being more you and knowing you, this is another thing that you want to take some time with. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, right away, it's like, ooh, I never thought of that. But it might take years before you really hone this down. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out what are my success principles. You can call them whatever you want. What makes me me? What are the principles that I operate in life in? So these are going to, of course, carry through to my horses and my business, but this is just me. So mine are, and I have these on my About Karen, on my website. If you go to About Karen, on the right-hand margin, you're going to see a list of credentials and experiences I've had, but the body of the About Karen gives you the theme of what it would be like to be around me. What do I believe in? What's important to me? And there's a whole section of where I list and I talk about each of these. So I live in possibility, right? That's important to me. If you ever tell me there's only two choices, I will defend it in court that there is another choice out there for you. Non-judgmental awareness is important to me. Things are usually not right or wrong, good or bad, but there's just something, and they're interesting. And maybe we can suspend judgment and just take a look for a little bit. I strongly believe thoughts create reality. I know I can create my reality, and the way I'm thinking, my mindset, and the way I use my words and actions through that is important. The truth is always in the middle, very open to collaboration, very open to other opinions. Let's play with it. Let's find the truth that's in the middle for you. So people don't come to me to be told the exact right way of doing things and all the other systems are wrong. And if there's a student out there who really needs this is right, this is wrong, it's going to be a disconnect with me. And so let's figure that out right from the beginning. Right? So I enjoy people who are willing to be a little bit open, and people need to know that about me. I'm going to be open. I'm going to play. I'm going to hear all sides. I'm going to find the truth that's right for you. And life is a lesson in lightness. So again, with the cartoon drawing, we can get serious results without being so serious all the time. And the more you get to know me, the more you'll see that there's a balance of serious results and a little bit of a lot of lightheartedness and playfulness. So this took a while. I actually had to hire someone to help me figure out these principles because, again, they're so us that we don't even see this in ourselves. But I actually hired an expert to help me with this, and after talking to her, she said, do you know you said the word possibility, like in every third sentence, the word possibility came up. I'm like, no, I didn't know I said that. All right. So in knowing that these are my principles, it allows them to flow. I don't have to force them. They're happening anyway, but I can highlight them. I can not cover them up. It would be really easy for me to say sometimes, oh, I can't say that would be silly. A professional wouldn't have a cartoon for their logo, but in knowing that this is an important principle that people need to know about me, students need to know about me, I let it flow. And that's where, a little bit of hard work ends up letting everything be easier afterwards. Now, I told you we need to know the why. So again, to use my example of my mastermind, what does that look like? How do you describe why you're doing something? So when I dialed down, it wasn't just, oh, I want to do this kind of program. I want to help professionals. Why am I doing this? I want to create more happiness for horses and their humans in the world. That's what I'm doing it. And really, why am I doing that? Because I think if we're happier people, the world will be a better place. So I'm changing the world, and I'm doing it through my particular skill level, which is dressage and partnership. But I do own that this is my goal. Everything I do needs to point to this. So if we're not getting happier, I have to change how I'm doing it. So again, I love this quote. This isn't mine, Margaret Mead, never underestimate the ability of a small group of people to change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So there's a picture of some of the people in my mastermind right now. And so if I want to create a happier world for horses and humans, why am I doing a mastermind program? And why am I not just delivering a PDF with a bunch of information on it, right? So I'm doing it this way because I know that I want to change the world, and there's a power in bringing together small groups of people with a common cause and a common principles. Why am I doing this? Because it feels good. It's probably a little selfish. I love doing this. I love this quote. It's a Buddhist proverb. If you light a lamp for someone, it will also brighten your own path. Remember I said I realize that I am an empowerer because everything, for as long as I can remember, and every single thing I've done, if I've experienced something and I've accomplished something, my first reflex is to turn around and shine a light on the path that I took. That makes me feel good. I love empowering others to not only go where I've been, but to have them go through me and beyond me. So my goal is always to teach people so that they don't need me anymore. I know that about myself. All right, so I do need to give you some nitty-gritty details, like, okay, we're talking about why and how and what, but like, what really is a mastermind and mentorship? So I love this quote: "For a mastermind, no two minds ever come together without a third invisible force, which may be likened to a third mind." So a mastermind is when you group together like-minded people for a particular cause, a particular goal, and there's something magical that happens when you start to collaborate. So I knew I wanted to create that. I've been in masterminds and it has just skyrocketed my progress. I want to share that with you. And I know that's not common in this industry. It's a very normally isolated competitive industry, isn't it? In a mentorship program, Oprah Winfrey described it as a mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. I really connected with that quote. So my mastermind mentorship program is a little bit of training, and then it's bringing together the group so you guys can experience the magic of collaboration. Because let's face it, we all have places that are hard to reach by ourselves. So this is my official invitation to you now, and you can still use this as a model of how to present something to your students, but my invitation directly to you now is to come play with me in the mastermind if this is for you. It's 6 months of training calls and exercises that cover these topics: mindset, building the confidence that you need, time management. I need to take a drink. Because probably some of you are going, Karen, I don't have any free time. So I've built in, there's a time management training in this mastermind. Training about understanding your unique offering, attracting ideal clients. This webinar is just one little piece of that. Leveraging your business, moving beyond the one-on-one business model. Lesson packages, pricing, student-teacher roles, how to create raving fan students. We've talked a little bit about that. Empowered teaching methods, so you can leverage it. Creating your unique system. Creating an ultimate progress plan for your students. How to get yourself out there, marketing, messaging, things like that. It's 6 months. We have live training calls, 1 call a month. Live Q&A calls with me once a month. Recordings of all the calls, so if you can't make it live, you don't miss anything. A 3-day live retreat. A Transform Your Business event. That event I told you about, it's a day and a half. You get a ticket for that. A closed Facebook group, so we can really share openly in a safe environment. That's where the masterminding part really happens. And Jumpstart Your Productivity, and that is a program that's led by a time management expert who has been 20 years coaching entrepreneurs and small business owners to take control of their time and create the life that they want on their terms, their way. So I've been working with this woman for 4 years. I've known her, and I was like, that program is so good, I need it in my mastermind, so I've brought it into my mastermind. During these 6 months, I will be your mentor, your accountability partner, your business coach, your biggest cheerleader, your inspiration, and your personal growth catalyst. All these things added up, the trainings, the recording, the retreat, all of that is a $12,500 value. But it's not available a la carte. I don't do these things for people. I've put it together in a package, and so that package with a payment plan is $74.97, and there's a bonus for paying in full and getting that just handled as soon as possible, and that makes it $64.97. And there's the website, and I think Sean will probably, in the question box, she'll copy and paste that link so you have it, and I'll be reminding you of it too over the next few days, because registration closes on August 29th. So how do you do this? I'm going to model something that's really important. So again, listen to this. If you're interested in applying to do this, listen. But even if you're not, here's something I've realized. People don't read anymore, and people get lost. So I see a lot of people have websites that's like, and mine is a little bit like this, has a million points of interesting articles and information, and there's no like clear starting point. So on my website there's a lot of stuff, but I have like, get your starter kit, start here. And so when anything that you do that you offer people, make it really easy and really clear for them to know what they are supposed to do. So spell it out for them. I'm making it easy and clear. Step 1, go here for more info or to apply. So if you go to this link, there's a whole bunch of information, and actually on there is a video of people who are in my mastermind now telling you from their experience what it's like. Step 2, I'm requiring a deposit in order to complete your application. And that's, I like doing that because it kind of makes sure that the people who are taking that step are at least a little bit like, yeah, I really think this is going to happen, because the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to answer some questions, and then we're going to get on a private call together, and my time is limited. So I want to make sure I have enough time for the people who really think that this is a possibility. Now, step 2, you'll see it's a no-risk application deposit, because after the call, if we learn more about you and you get to ask your questions about the mastermind and we kind of figure out, you know what, I don't think this is the right thing at the right time for you, we just refund your deposit. No, it's no problem, and that'll all be resolved. You'll get it back. So it really is no risk. And this all needs to be completed by August 29th. So this is another tip. I am modeling what I need you guys to do. Put deadlines on things. If something was available just all the time, sometimes people don't take action. So this is just a reality. Our first training call, our first call is a kickoff call actually, and it starts September 1st. So the reality is we need to get all the registration handled by the 29th. So that's it's a reality. Let people know that. Helps them plan. All right. I love this quote. Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act on building the life you desire. So that's something, again, I think the important word here is deliberately seek. I know what it's like to be figuring this out by yourself and doing your business and keeping your head down, just training those horses, right? You're probably more comfortable with horses than you are with people. Many of you are not group joiner kind of people. I'm not a group joiner kind of people. And that's why I know when I finally did join a group, a mastermind, and I saw the power of it, I go, geez, I wish someone made me do this sooner. So this is why I'm here, to offer this to you. This is, again, some of the people from the mastermind, and here we went to iFly. We did some indoor parachuting, and the reason I want to show you this is because the theme of our retreat was a concept I want to tell you now, which is lean in so you get the support you need to fly. And the indoor parachuting or skydiving was so cool, because if you just walk in, you see the guy there standing there, he's standing upright and he's not going anywhere. He's just standing. But if you lean in, the air picks you up and now you're flying. So that was our theme of leaning in to things so that you can get the support you need so you're going to fly. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that's what I'm offering you here. Something to lean into where I know we got you. All right. Some of you may want even more help. Like there's some of you out there probably like ready to do your own online courses, and you're really interested in marketing for that, or you just know you need even more accountability. So I do have another level of support. I'm only taking 5 people because that's how deeply I want to focus on these 5 people. And actually I can tell you there's only actually 3 spots left, and that's just a reality. So the extra support is everything that I talked about in full training, or I'm in the foundation, which is what I listed before, plus you get 6 hours of private coaching with me. That's just one-on-one, 6 hours through those 6 months to do whatever you need. We get an extra day together at the retreat, an additional call just with the people in this full support. So if it's 2 or 5, additional call just with us, and we get our own separate Facebook page where we can really share our programs and take that conversation to a higher level. And you get full email access to me. You're doing something, Karen, this thing's coming up with this student, what do I do? You get email access to me directly. So there again is the website. Step 1, no matter what level of support you want, you'll find information about both levels on this website, but no matter what you're going to do, the steps are the same. Go to that website, click to apply. You'll make a no-risk deposit. You'll answer some questions so we get to know you. We'll get on a private call, and on that call, we'll figure out, is this for you? Which level of support is best for you, and what your payment options, what you want to do with that. And that's how it works. And again, needs to be completed by August 29th. So I'm going to leave you again with one of my favorite quotes. It's by me, which is never underestimate the possibility for things to improve in ways you cannot yet imagine. And I hope that you got a lot out of this. I know that this piece is really important. And I know it takes some time sometimes to really dive into, what do I want? What is it that I really do? So I hope that you write those questions down, and you do play with it. When you get the recording of this, listen to it again. And I would, share that with someone else, your husband or your students or someone, go, could you tell me what is it that I'm really doing out there with students? When your students send you those emails and say, oh my gosh, I feel so much more, fill in the blank. And you're like, really? I thought I was teaching you leg yields. How did I change your life? How did that happen? That's the stuff you want to get in touch with. That's the magic. That's what's going to keep you lit up and not burned out. And when you really own it, that's what's going to get the flow. Students will find you easily. So I could keep talking about this. How's my time? Oh my gosh, I nailed it with the time. Look at that. I'm so proud of myself. I can't see I have to check on my phone. All right, so any questions, you can email me. I'd love to hear what you thought about this webinar, whether it's right after the webinar or when you're listening to the recording, and I will be in touch. And I wish that you can find those students that you love to teach, that you love your business, that it is profitable, that it is sustainable, and most of all, that it is fulfilling, so you can be a happy horse trainer and not a cranky one. And when you're happy, your students will be happy, and the horses will be happy, and the world will be a better place. All right, that's it. I'm out.